much for taking your time to chat to us today.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
Your hats and your headpieces, right, because you do a variety and fascinators, are they bespoke? So does the customers come to you and say, this is the event, look at my face, what would suit me? Is that how you work?
I mean, I would, usually it can come from a variety of angles, but sure, what I love doing the most is bespoke. And precisely, somebody would approach you and they would say, I have this event coming up, and hopefully they will approach you in, decent amount of time, because most people don't actually understand how long it takes to create a truly bespoke, handcrafted piece. So they would approach me, and usually I would start the conversation with, okay, do you have an outfit that you would like to wear? Usually they would say, okay, I have something in mind, or maybe I don't, and then I would try to encourage them to maybe send me some ideas in terms of what they would like to wear, and as much as possible I would try to create a piece to suit that, essentially. And then it always, you always need to do a fitting. Sometimes you need to do a couple of fittings.
Yes.
Because the difference in hats can literally be millimeters. You can look at somebody and you're designing and you have their face in your mind, but then you put it on and you need to make those small adjustments to make sure that it's, you can always tell if something has been tailor-made in the same way.
Yes, it's the fit, isn't it?
And it's the fit.
And it's a bit like with shoes. The worst is if you put the most beautiful pair of shoes on and they're so uncomfortable and they knock down your confidence. You put them on and you feel super confident because you're tall and your posture changes. And then you walk around and you're unstable, and that takes away the confidence. And I suppose it's again with the hats, the same thing, right? If you get the feeling that they are wobbly or they fall, then it defeats the whole purpose.
Absolutely. I mean, it's my biggest nightmare, because sometimes you create a beautiful hat and then the person doesn't have a chance to do a final fitting, or sometimes you're just forced to do it remotely, and it's my biggest nightmare, because I then do videos how to put it on, how to secure it, because the worst thing is if you see a hat and it's worn backwards or something, and then you just, or if somebody tells you, oh, but it was like sliding off, and I'm like, but you didn't know that there was like a whole thing, to secure it.
Yes.
Like, oh no. So yeah, no, it just keeps me up at night.
Yeah, no, I bet it does.
Yeah.
So your brand is sustainable, so it's one of your brand values, right? To be sustainable. Would you talk to the audience what sustainability means to you, and what makes your brand sustainable?
Well, for me, sustainability is just I manifest it in a variety of ways. So first of all, true sustainability is I think being very conscious about what you invest your money into, and I think it starts with this idea of conscious consumption, that if you're buying something, try to buy it for a variety of looks, so that you don't have just a lot of disposable pieces in your collection. So that's one element of sustainability. That's why I say, okay, if you're going to invest into a hat, okay, you might not have space, or you might not have, say, the budget to invest into something completely outrageous, say, flamboyant Royal Ascot style, but you can always make it work. You can invest into a very classic shape, and then you can work, say, with me or with a variety of different designers, if you would like, down the line, to what is called retrim the hat. So you can actually introduce new elements that might work with a particular...
great.
So I would encourage everyone to invest into several, say, staple hats, like one small one larger one, and then if it's well made and if it's well looked after, you can always have this element of longevity. I constantly rewear outfits and hats. So for me, it's not a novel idea. I just want to kind of share it with the world.
Yes.
The second element is the materials element, and I think that's very exciting. So I've taken the route of kind of a little bit looking backwards, because a lot of the materials that were traditionally used in millinery, they're not produced anymore. So invariably, I start scouting vintage markets. I buy old hats, which I remake sometimes, because some of the materials, they're super precious.
Upcycle.
So I upcycle, I rebead, so I would buy necklaces that people just think that they're worthless, but in reality the value sometimes of the stones that is in that is just, it's incredible. So I use a lot of vintage and upcycling, and I'm starting little by little experimenting with new technologies and new materials and introducing that into my head. So like 3D printing and laser printing, and trying to just be a little bit experimental. It helps that my husband is an architect, so I can kind of draw on that element, and I think he pushes me quite a bit as well, and to think about those elements in my design.
And I would like to pick up on the fact that you said that you actually totally hands-on, right? So you handcraft them.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So my brand, and I think also part of the craftsmanship and sustainability is that I am every single stitch in that hat, and they are mostly all hand stitched, except for sometimes if I have to work with materials and it's just easier to machine stitch material, but everything is hand stitched.
Wow.
So and that's why sometimes you have to explain it to people because they truly don't understand, because I think a lot of people, they talk about craftsmanship and they talk about artisanal, but most of the time they don't actually understand that it means somebody for hours and hours sitting and going around the same hat, with a thimble and a needle. But I actually, in a masochistic way, quite enjoy that.
Masochistic.
Yeah, but it also means that a hat takes as much as it needs to take. You can't cut down, like you can't just take a glue gun and glue something.
And do you have helpers?
What I do also as a business model is that I have a variety of people who I contact depending on what I need help with. So for example, if I have a lot of orders and I just need sheer manpower, then I will bring in almost like freelancers. So I have this almost like gig economy type concept, so that I don't actually have any full-time staff who I pay. So yeah.
So one inevitable question comes with what we've just been through worldwide with the global pandemic of COVID and what it has done obviously to our personal lives but also to our businesses. How did you cope during the pandemic? And because obviously we didn't have the human contacts with customers, did you have orders? How did you do?
So, very interesting question. It was obviously my brand is very much tied to social events and social occasions, and obviously it was like a complete, it was very difficult, but very early on I was just calm and I decided to take the time to invest into learning new things, to develop new ways to be present, say digitally. So I actually invested a lot of time to learn about those digital filters, and I've created a digital replica of one of the showstoppers that I have created.
Oh wow.
I've invested time into, obviously everybody has done masks. I started very early on and I was doing like those super elaborate sets. So because I still believe that people would want to have some sort of a mood lifter, Another thing that I did is I actually reached out to different artists, and I've done almost like artistic collaborations. And I've done digital campaigns, so I basically invested a lot of time into going digital, into building sort of my brand up, to showcase, maybe spending a bit more time on marketing, because usually it's something that I struggle with, to kind of dedicate time to both the making and the marketing. And also I pivoted a little bit my business towards, I've always done it, but I never advertised it, but here I actually created catalogs for hat rentals. And
so this is a very sustainable concept that you developed. Yes.
Because I go to a lot of social events myself. That's kind of what propelled me into that industry anyway. And I said, well, I, for myself and for some of the friends I go with, would every year create new showstopper pieces, because part of my marketing strategy to get noticed and spotted, and I have all of those amazing hats, which I would love to lend new life to, and also I constantly create new samples. And so I opened up my library of hats to people to borrow, and actually it's been fantastic, because they are really truly unique couture hats. They're not something, you know, that is mass produced and you're just getting a little flower on a ribbon. So the amount of people who reached out and who borrowed a hat for an event and they had an amazing time, they got complimented, they got approached, and you know, sometimes you go for a little bit of a vanity boost, you know, let's not kid ourselves. We want to be told that, you know, especially when you've made all this effort, that you look beautiful and, you know, you look fantastic. So I've received great feedback on that, and I think I'm just going to keep expanding the library. It's a bit of a nightmare to store because obviously I require lots of storage, and those are big hats, you know.
Yes.
But I love it, you know. So that's been my main pivot during the COVID.
Yes. So now we're reaching a new normality, right?
Hopefully,
things are opening up. The confidence is coming back to people to actually mingle and join social events, even though the rules are a bit hit and miss, but there is a direction, an obvious direction that we're taking. So I was wondering, how do people actually reach out to you if they have an event planned? How do we find you? Do you have a website? Is it social media?
Well, I have a website and I have social media. But I would say that a lot of people reach out because I'm not a huge operation. So what tends to happen?
Which makes you special.
It does, but it also makes me a little bit harder to find. So that's my challenge as a brand, actually. But so usually people would subscribe to my, say, social media. They would monitor me and see kind of what I'm doing for some time. And then when they're ready, they would reach out. And I don't really sell anything through social media. It's more of my marketing channel.
Yes.
And then we take it kind of offline and we discuss. Yes, it's kind of like my digital portfolio. But I try to keep up with the story so that I feel that most of the clients who are most loyal to my brand are the people who also kind of buy into the way I live, that, you know, it's not a problem for me to rewear outfits. In fact, it's my personal challenge because, you know, I have some wonderful dresses and I don't just want to wear them once. And so my challenge is to show you the same dress, but maybe with a new hat, or maybe an old hat but reworked in a new way. So that's kind of what people go to me for.
So we will add your IG handle.
Thank you so much.
In the post in the video, and so people can reach out directly to you and can DM you.
Yes, thank you. I love the morph moment. I'm gonna use it. Hashtag morph moment.
Thank you. Yes, a lot of people going through this a major change in their life. You know, we started with one profession, and then there is an event that hit us, whether personal or professional, and it triggers the need for change.
Yes.
And the more I speak to people, the more I find that a lot of women particularly find this moment that triggers a new passion and then a new goal in life.
Yes.
So
I absolutely subscribe to it, and I actually find that a lot of the consumption is driven by psychology. Once you fundamentally challenge the root of why do you want to buy, say, a particular type of bag, or why do you want to buy a particular, say, one brand of shoe, you actually understand that it's nothing to do, okay, it's beautiful design, of course, but it's nothing to do, you know, if it's your 10th bag from the same brand, it's nothing to do with design. It's something to do with psychology, and I think fundamentally that's what you are challenging.
Yes, I'm challenging it because buying too much is actually causing imbalance in our lifestyle, because then we have a closet full of clothes or accessories and nothing to wear.
Yeah.
And it's very impractical to have like the everyday bag out, and then that bag determines the small section of the wardrobe we're allowed to use because it doesn't match. So I'm trying to break this challenge.